everybody? This is Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. Myself, Josh from OfferVault.com, the industry's largest aggregator of all things affiliate marketing. We got you covered when you're trying to become successful in this industry. Hit up OfferVault.com for networks, offers, affiliate programs, what have you. We are here to help you succeed in this industry. A big shout out, once again, you know who it is, Pinup Partners, our sponsor of the episode. And if you haven't already gotten hip to their contests, you need to. They're celebrating 8 years in the space, specifically in the iGaming industry. If you're working in that vertical, then this contest is for you. There's over 500 prizes, hundreds of challenges, and a prize pool worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Grand prizes, you ask? A luxury car and a trip to the Alps. It's rolling out in 3 separate stages between now and the end of the year, giving affiliates plenty of time to participate in daily challenges and score instant rewards. Each stage opens up new chances to enter the prize drawing, so you've got to stay on top of the action. How do you sign up? I'm so glad you asked. All you need to do is sign up with their bot using the link in the description and follow the guidelines to get started. This is your chance to take part in something amazing, celebrating Pinup Partners' 8-year anniversary. Don't sleep on this contest. You know we only promote the best of the best. Thank you, Pinup Partners, for the sponsorship once again. We also have Mr. Paper Call Adam Young, as well as the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz, and our special guest, Andy Cabasso, co-founder and head of marketing at Postaga, a company that helps their clients send cold emails easier than ever before. What's up, Andy? How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
First question. Former Guinness World Record holder, part of your title on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Very curious.
So someone beat you?
Someone beat him.
Know.
I don't know what the record was, but can you just tell us? I'm just curious. What's that about?
So tens of thousands of people have beaten me, unfortunately. So it's a really like good line for getting people curious, right? So about I want to say like 10 years ago or so, Reddit did a virtual Secret Santa thing where basically you would sign up and you get matched up with someone else around the world, and during Christmas time you'd send someone something and then someone else would send you something, and you'd be participating in this. And there were tens of thousands of people who joined in on it, and then it was the largest Secret Santa ever. And so everyone that participated, basically it was part of the Guinness World Record holders. And
I see. I thought it was like hot dog eating or something cool like that.
It's right. I wish it was cooler. Like, like since I was a kid and reading those super cool.
So you became a former because they did it another year and then they had more people. And so you lost your crown as one of these.
That is exactly right.
Acclaimed individuals.
The next year they did. Right. The next year they did it again and they got, I think, double the amount of people or something like that. And my mistake on not signing up again. And so I guess I and whoever else didn't do it again relinquished the crown.
So let's jump right into the Postaga stuff. When you reached out to me about coming on the show, I found it very interesting, and I thought you'd have a lot of useful information when it comes to cold emails. So can you tell us just briefly a little bit about Postaga, what it does and how it works, how you help your clients, et cetera? Yeah.
So the 30-second version is Postaga is a platform that helps people do cold outreach, doing everything from prospecting to email sequences and basically finding the people that you're looking to connect with. And like it's used for a variety of use cases, everything from, for example, reaching out to podcast hosts to pitch yourself to be a guest on a podcast, or doing outreach for link building or affiliate recruiting, things like that.
Yeah. So speaking of affiliate recruiting, that's one of the main things that kind of sold me on having you on the show. I think a lot of people watching this could benefit from your expertise in that area. What is the best way to recruit top performing affiliates? I know when you kind of sent me the idea, you mentioned quote unquote wooing your competitors' promoters. So how can other networks or affiliate programs out there really take advantage of your strategies when it comes to getting new affiliate partners?
Sure. So the overview of it basically is first I want to, let's say whatever industry I'm in, I have my product in, I want to look to my biggest competitors or other companies that are targeting my customer profile, and then reverse engineer basically who their affiliates are, and then using any variety of prospecting tools, find out who the right contact people at those sites are, and reach out to them with a pitch of basically, hey, I see that you are actively promoting products in this space. I'd love for you to check out and promote our product. Here's what the commission rate is, and happy to share with you any more information or sign you up or things like that. And I've found that this overall, like this pitch works very well because for one, we're reaching out to people who are active in the space. You don't have to find people who aren't familiar with your audience. They already know the audience. They're already reaching the audience. So kind of plugging your product in is relatively an easy lift for them. And since you know that they're already promoting other products and your competitors, it's an easy yes for them. And they get it, they understand how it works, as opposed to reaching out to some blog or other site that's in the space trying to convince them to get coverage for or start promoting your product.
Something else you mentioned was growing your affiliate channel revenue. I think the specific number you used with me was by 4x. What are some like actionable steps people watching this can take? Because I'm sure everybody watching this loves the sound of that.
Yeah. So strategies that I've found kind of taken of like just help scale affiliate channels. The first component of it is recruiting, getting more affiliates that are promoting your products. The second is ongoing nurturing of those affiliates. So everything from having regular newsletters and content specifically for affiliates to provide them with what they need. Also providing new assets that can help them promote your products, whether it's ads or even just copy for write-ups related to your new features and things like that. And then regarding whatever platform you're using for affiliate management, actively engaging with promoters that are that you see either increasing like the volume or even just decreasing click volume, to say like, hey, I see that like your volume is going down or your volume is going up. What can we do to work together to incentivize you to kind of promote further? The kind of those are like the fundamentals of it. What I found that works well.
Yeah, I know sounding personal is very important compared to sounding spammy. What are kind of some of like the biggest do's and don'ts in terms of cold email, right? Because I get emails even from people trying to come on the podcast, right? And right away I can tell if it's someone I even want to entertain the idea of it or not. So if you're trying to sound personal and avoid sounding spammy, like what are the rules of thumb that you kind of go by on that front?
The kind of place I start from is I just like read the email. Like if you have copy, read the email back and pretend you're the person who is receiving this and you've never heard of this person before in your life. If you get this email, are you gonna, and you actually read it, like, are you going to actually read the whole thing, or are you gonna kind of recognize the pattern that, oh, this is just another cold email, I'm just gonna hit delete or mark it spam or something like that. So like just like the very basics of it are like like how would you receive this if you got this out of nowhere? And so I'm sure probably when people pitch you like, hey, I'd love to come on the podcast, sometimes people will probably say, here is my resume, have me come on the podcast. And it's like, all right, well, now you're making work for me because I have to figure out what we're going to talk about. I have to do a dive on you and figure this out. But like when I reach out, for example, I've done my research. I know who I'm reaching out to. I come up with podcast episode ideas, let's say, that I think are relevant for the audience.
Yeah, you made my job super easy. That was part of the
Right.
reason I was like, all right, because you were like, let's talk about this, and that. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I always what I was told a long time ago I try to do is like type how you talk, right?
Mhm.
I used to write these formal emails like, hello, how are you doing today? We are not going to, just like abbreviation is key for me, and like sounding like a human. I used to sound like a robot, super formal, and I found like that turns people off right away. And today, and where I'm at, it turns me off right away. So
Mhm.
instantly, I feel like it's.
Can I comment on that with a real world example? I
I
feel
know what
very
you're gonna do. I'm so excited for this because I saw your face and I was like, oh, I know where he's about to. If they're watching, their day's ruined.
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, like Harrison and I have been friends and business partners and colleagues for what, like 16 years, 17 years?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I stayed at Harrison's parents' house when he was a minor. That's how far we go back. So um he can read my mind. So we have InsurTech Connect coming up. And I have dubbed InsurTech Connect as VC hunting season. And basically, an endless onslaught of private equity and VC people reach out to me, like sometimes up to 10, 15 a day. And their emails all sound the same. And I don't understand why they sound this way, but they all sound the same. Hi, Adam. I lead our technology and investment efforts at and wanted to reach out to convey my excitement for how Ringba is transforming marketing by unlocking key call insights.
Yeah, you already lost me, dude. It's like they're trying too hard.
Like, I'm
Dude.
not even excited about unlocking.
Didn't you get
key
another
call
one, Adam? I'm
insights.
sorry, I got to steer your thunder. Didn't you get another one where he was like, hey, I'm really excited to learn about how ABC Marketing Inc. is innovating, and you're like, we're not. It was like the wrong name, like they just copy. Or it was like really
Yes.
excited to learn about how Ringba is optimizing insurance claims resolutions for businesses. You're like, dude,
Yes.
wrong
They
email,
don't
dickhead.
even get the company names right. And then these VCs, they all say the same thing. By way of introduction, a little bit of background on us.
Yeah.
We invest on behalf of global entrepreneurs and thought leaders who have been exceptional strategic and commercial partners to our portfolio companies. We recently announced lots of money, blah, 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 blah. Would you like to spend a half an hour talking about the market and how we can support you? My reply to this was so exciting, so many fun coupons, unsub, thanks. Okay. Now, most of the time they go away, but this one kept going. And she said that, she helped partner with these other bootstrapped companies and lists a bunch of random companies that I don't care about, right? And then talks about how their investor base is made up of entrepreneurs. Like, okay, right?
That's
like,
good because
great.
no
Part
other
we
investor
talked
groups
about,
are
we
made of
tried that a few
entrepreneurs.
times when we replied to them like, hey, can we invest? Like, we don't want your money, but can we join the fund?
Yes. And so, I mean, this is probably not the best way to go about this, but I said, all right,
There's
I'll
a couple
bite.
where Adam's like writes an email to me and I'm like, bro, like
I
send him
don't
a mean
care.
email. Fuck.
I just don't care. Because the thing is they don't communicate to me like a human. I communicate back like a human, but they just try to gaslight me like they give a shit. And so I literally said, what do you know about our story besides we don't have investors and we don't want them? And have you ever built anything worth $1 billion? If the answer is nothing and no, I really don't think we're a good fit. Right? And so this is.
They hate it so much. They want him more. It's like when the girl at the dance says no, and you're like, I really got to dance with that girl. We're the girl at the dance, Adam. Congrats.
Listen to this shit. Today, inbound calls often meet rote phone trees that result in inflexible and inefficient call routing. I resonate with how Ringba is transforming how paper call networks and their affiliates unlock data to optimize call flows.
Dude, this is just straight out of ChatGPT. This is so bullshit.
I was gonna say like I know like a lot of people in the space are like, all right, well, ChatGPT is so great, it's gonna help us and all this, but I love ChatGPT as someone who at least thinks they're original with their copy, because it just really just dramatically lowered the bar for originality, because so many people are like going like, oh, I don't know what to write. Let me go to ChatGPT, write me a cold email. Dear sir / madam / to whom it may concern is like the first line. And it's like, okay, like when you get that, you're like, all right, no one ever in the history of sending emails has ever, what was it that I always get? I hope this email finds you well. No email has ever found anyone well, ever. And like that's the other like giveaway, right? It's like, all right, someone clearly using GPT or using templates and not, and like on the same basic flow, like you get that pattern recognition and you're like, no, like this, maybe someone used something to enrich their data, knowing vaguely what your company does, but it doesn't do anything. Like if it the rest of it is just garbage, frankly. Like I had someone reach out to me, they're like, where it was like clearly like the first line was personalized. It's like, hey Andy, I saw you went to Northeastern University. Go Huskies. Anyway, let me tell you
Dude,
about.
I've gotten that too about my school as well. It's like,
Gross.
it's totally
No.
unrelated. Yeah, nothing's better than getting an email that says "Hi, first name," and they just didn't enter the data point
like,
correctly.
dude, clean it up.
Dude.
Love that.
How do you what have you seen with the people who do hey Adam, I'd love to tell you about our workforce management solutions over a coffee. So I'm gonna send you $7 for DoorDash so we can have a coffee on Zoom. Like, does that work?
No, Harrison, you forgot about the one that happened to us. So this fucker sent me a bag of coffee, like a 5-pound bag of coffee, to our resident agent. The resident agent billed us $50 to deal with the package. And so now this guy has reached out and
He thinks he's invested. We're like, dude, we spent more on the fucking
he's
coffee.
cost us $50. My email to him was like, dude, you suck. Don't ever email me again. And he's like, oh, listen, I'll pay for the package. Let's what I'm like, dude, just like, you know, if you just send to random addresses like that, it's not an effective strategy. I had someone offer me an Amazon gift card of $50 for 30 minutes of my time. And I thought about that for a minute. And I was like, dude, you really think 30 minutes of my time is only worth $50 in an Amazon gift card? I actually was insulted by the gesture. Like, how about just give me a
say, like, what do they not know you?
Yeah, one sentence. Hey man, I can do this for you. Yes, no. I'll reply to that. And if it's interesting, fine. Yeah.
We have been cold outreach and liked it, but rarely.
We're not done with this VC yet. It keeps going. So I replied to this VC with just no sent from my iPhone. All right? Just no. She kept going. Adam, I wanted to introduce you to my partner. He leads investments in, I don't know any of these companies. We really resonate with Ringba's innovative approach to ingesting real-time data and demographic slicing call flows and enabling buyers to effectively bid on calls. Why should we meet? From your podcast, we admire how you get in the trenches with your customers. Know you've gone from door-to-door sales in Detroit winters, but I'm like, dude, like, so you watched something or had GPT take a transcript and just give you some shit to make it look like you care about my life instead of actively engaging in a conversation. Can we grab 30 minutes at InsurTech to swap perspectives on the market, right? Anyways, I told them that I want to answer to a board like I want testicular cancer. And I haven't heard from them since. So, I mean, like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand why people do not speak like humans in these emails. Because I'm just a human. And the one person that approaches me like a human, I usually reply to. Like, I get all kinds of Instagram messages from people who read my book that I'm not going to make any money off of. I still reply and talk to them because they're just excited and they're like real people. And
Dude, being a robot does not work.
Oh, but what
no.
about the LinkedIn cold outreaches that you're getting where someone like where it says I do link building and they send you a request and then you're like, I know I shouldn't accept this request. And then you do, and then you get an auto message once you're accepted of, dear sir, I'm happy to connect. Let me share with you this list of links I can get for you.
I will say this, if that VC actually watches the podcast and she emails me, Harrison at Ringba, with this 6-digit code, 52619, I will buy you a coffee at InsurTech Connect. But we're not talking about Ringba. We'll talk about your dogs or something. Good luck. Challenge dropped. Because they didn't watch the podcast. Come on.
No. It's funny you mentioned that. Like, I really hate accepting LinkedIn invitations. And, like I messaged one the other day, literally, don't message me again because they just won't stop messaging. Oh, and this one also said, I'd love to send you a gift card. Like, dude,
my new thing is actually deleting LinkedIn connections. Because back in the day, I used to just accept them blindly. And now I have hundreds of people I have no connection with, and I'm just trying to clean it up. But I get cold outreach all the time.
Sure. And the worst part is because of that, I'm sure you're talking to someone like, oh, hey, how do you know this person? And it's like, I don't. I have no idea who this person is.
So, you talk about some of the biggest do's, right? Personal, do your research. I'd say those are probably the two most important in my opinion. Let's flip to the other side here. Some of the challenges with cold email. The first thing that comes to my mind, which we've talked about on the show a little bit sometimes, is, deliverability, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to get your cold email inboxed, and what's the best way to get it in the spam folder?
Best way to get it in the spam folder is send 1,000 emails a day without any variation in any of the copy. That'll probably get you in spam folders like the same day or immediately. As far as like deliverability goes, like that's like the biggest challenge I think for anyone doing cold outreach. And over time, it's like basically like to land in the inbox. There are definitely challenges to it. For one, like limiting the volume that you're sending per email address is a big one. So don't be sending 100 or more emails a day per email address. Like if you want to send emails at scale, what you need to do is be sending fewer emails, like between 30 to 50 emails per email address. The copy that you're using, you need to be using spun text or spintax to basically vary up the copy. So instead of saying, hi, insert name, hello, insert name, aloha, insert name, basically varying up the copy of the email body itself, because if it's all the same, that's another flag for the email service providers.
Tell everyone you hope the email finds them well.
Yeah, that's probably the single most important thing is check to see if the person finds the email well. The email finds them well.
I think you'd be a great person to answer this next question. Adam talked about the experience with the VC who wouldn't stop. So in your opinion, like what is an appropriate follow-up strategy? I think everybody has their own. I've developed my own. But like, is there a certain amount of days, or you wait for a certain engagement? Like, how do you kind of approach that mindset?
So with follow-ups, I've over the years taken like different approaches. Generally, like with the first email, one important thing is, for the most part, in the first email, I'm not ever trying to sell anything in the first email, because frankly, like the person receiving the email has never heard of me before and doesn't trust me. And they're certainly not going to trust some random person on the internet with a calendar link in that email, like, hey, let's schedule 30 minutes. No, I don't trust it. usually my call to action in my first email is like basically gauging their interest. Like, does this sound interesting to you? Is it worth continuing the conversation? If that first email doesn't get a reply, usually my first follow up is just like a nudge, basically, of, hey, just wanted to follow, like the equivalent of, hey, just wanted to follow up and see what you thought. Just because that's when you email someone that you know and they don't respond to you and you want to follow up on it, that's probably what you would say.
Do you wait a certain amount of days, or is it more just like a
Yes.
vibe, or you have like a math equation you stick to?
So generally, I find that like waiting like a week between the first and second email works well. Um, Never sending follow-up emails on weekends, because people generally don't send business emails on weekends, and they certainly don't like as frequently open or reply to them. Um, so like usually my cadence might be like a week between emails, and um, I might like my cadence might be like the first email is kind of gauging their interest, the second email is a follow-up, and then I've done experiments with this and it works. Just different kind of pitches and offers work differently, but sometimes my third email is just to some degree reiterating my ask from the first email, or I might try and say, if you're not the right person, is there someone else I should get in touch with? And sometimes that works depending on the campaign. And one thing that I kind of got from this the guy's name is John Buchan from Charm Offensive. The tip he had, it would just be really out there and kind of use humor in your copy, because people aren't expecting it. They're expecting something to the effect of I hope this email finds you well. Would you like to do a business transaction? So
Give me money.
right. So one thing that I
Stop saying that phrase.
Get it tattooed right here.
One thing I've done an email where it's I used like like I'm like writing a poem, like I remember what we said, but dearest insert name, it seems that our paths did not cross in the night, and I regretfully send you this as my last message. And it like
I'm already in on that compared to the other shit.
it gets it just like being silly sometimes, like it breaks the pattern up, because if you've seen 1,000 VC emails, and if you're in the, at least maybe if you're in the type of industry or space where you can use humor it's important to like be self-aware, like, can you be funny? Otherwise it just like you don't want it to fall flat. But if you can use humor, that will help you stand out.
The last part of the equation, in my mind, is the subject line, right? So do you believe in any kind of like specific science behind a good subject line? Are you on team emoji? Are you off of team emoji? Are you on team hype, create mystery? What's like your thought process on getting that open?
My thought process is A/B test everything, because different ICPs react differently. I've seen situations where, like, just based on the audiences, where people love emojis in the subject line, and others where people hate emojis in the subject line. And I just personally just love my assumptions getting tested like that. So like usually with any campaigns I'm doing, even if like the body copy is the same, I will try out different subject lines and see how that compares. But generally doing something that creates mystery gets it more likely that you'll get the email open. Like one email subject line that worked well for a long time, but I think is working less well now because it's getting so overused, was like, quick question mark, or something like that. But yeah, people use that too much, and now it's like, okay, I know this is a cold email.
Something else I wanted to ask you about is, your leadership style and how you manage teams. I believe I saw on your LinkedIn profile, most of your team is remote, which is definitely how Ringba is with Adam and Harrison, and how I am here at OfferVault. I think a lot of people after COVID kind of moved that way. So how do you kind of approach that? You know, I know some people feel like an office, like a physical space is really important to growing the company and growing that camaraderie. So when you're fully remote, how do you kind of bridge that gap and how do you kind of still successfully manage people all across the world?
Sure. I think the kind of core of it is like really, I guess, taking advantage of async tools, but having very good very good and clear processes and documentation, so that everyone knows like everyone knows exactly their responsibilities. They know how to do it, and it's also easier to onboard new people that way. So like what kind of when I would when I before I hired the first person I hired, I basically created a document of basically walking through exactly what I wanted them to do on their day to day. I did a document with screenshots, and I also did like a Loom video, and that was part of their basically training materials. And then after I started adding more people to the team, I really just turned it into an onboarding course, and like took all the materials that we had, and as we iterated it, how it turns it into a course so that they can more quickly get up to speed. But having I think having documentation and being kind of clear about deliverables and expectations works very well. Everyone knows what their KPIs are. Everyone knows uh, how to basically like do the functions of their roles. And as far as like communication goes, like using Slack, like more communication is better. More like if you have someone who's working on the other side of the world, 12-hour time difference way, you don't want to be in a situation where you ask a question or they ask you a question and you respond and then there's like there are follow-ups. So I'm gonna write a novel and like for their question, I may make assumptions. I may say like, if this is what you're talking about, then here's what I'd recommend. But if this is what you're talking about, and this is what I recommend, and basically, like conditional logic. Think of where they're coming from and what they're trying to get to as far as the solution goes, and then as I can do that, screenshots, Loom videos. I find that has been very helpful. With my background, I previously started an agency that basically we did a productized service for web design, and so it was basically very specific fixed scope. And to do that, we made sure that like you kind of using like Kanban, Trello's tools, but every single step of our process had very clear documentation and deliverables, and so nothing could be outside of the scope. And so ultimately, we could, as managers, could remove ourselves from the day to day and remove ourselves from most of the decision making. And so that's kind of what I've kind of tried to take.
I feel like you're kind of speaking Adam and Harrison's language right now. Guys, have you done like documentation and videos when you're onboarding new employees, or have you not really experimented with that yet?
We have a very large library of internal documentation. Ringba is an extremely complicated platform. It's not the easy to use for the liquor store that wants to track their calls. I mean, we literally do the most advanced things you can do with phone call routing, and doing all that configuration is really complex. One of the things that openly we have struggled with is scaling our support team to deliver the same amount or quality of support that we did when we only had like 7 people. Now we have 75, and the platform's much more complex. So as you layer in complexity, this problem gets worse and worse. The platform gets more complex. You want to try and simplify it. Then you have this giant library of support documentation that has to be updated over time. We literally have one staff member who does technical writing for our documentation internally, and that's all she does. And we are introducing a whole new training program and process for all teams. And at Ringba, like we want our developers to know what the support team's going through, and we want our salespeople to know what the developers are doing. We want the support people to know what the salespeople are doing. And so there's a lot of communication and training that has to happen. And as we grow, the harder and harder this actually becomes. And so, you know, like literally on my to-do list is to do a bunch of recorded training videos for our new programs.
So hear me out. Ready? You kick off the 80s music, all right? And it's you and Harrison. And you go, "Hi, I'm Adam." And he goes, "I'm Harrison. And we're Ringba." And then you kind of just go from there.
I mean, sure. I do think that training should be entertaining as well. You know, I released a 20-something hour masterclass on pay-per-call in 2017 or something like that. It was a long time ago. And tens of thousands of people went through it. It was free. It resulted in businesses that are, I mean, shit, one's doing more than $100 million a year. To just watch the class, learn the business. And like when I did that class, I put a lot of energy into it so that it was engaging. And a lot of companies still use it today or pieces of it to train their staff members. And so it's really hard to put together great training programs. It's really hard to scale them. And, you know, depending on what your product is, it's really hard to update them. And most SaaS companies have shit service, and the bigger they get, the worse their service gets. And, you know, we experience this too, but we fight it, right? Like we're constantly like, how do we make this better? How do we make this better? How do we make this better? And it's a huge commitment of time and resources. It's certainly not easy. It's just as challenging perhaps as making the software itself. So, yeah.
You know, maybe that's the problem is you keep updating the software, just don't update it anymore.
No.
Well, Andy, I want to thank you for coming on the Affiliate Marketing Show. It's been a pleasure having you. For myself, Josh from OfferVault, Mr. Pay-Per-Call, Adam Young, as well as the industry legend, Harrison Gevirtz, and our special guest, Andy Cabasso, co-founder and head of marketing at Postaga. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time.